So joining us on the phone right now is my dear friend, Dorothy Pilarski. She is a Catholic wife, mother. She's a writer. She's a television personality. She does speaking engagements. She has her own radio program. She's a corporate business consultant. She does everything. She has a radio program called Dynamic Women of Faith that airs on Radio Maria, and also has a corporate training company called Communicate Creative Services. Then her television series is called Mothering Full of Grace, and that's on Salt and Light Television in Canada. She writes for the Catholic Register. Just an amazing story and a background. She has the founder of Dynamic Woman of Faith and does a lot of work now doing Catholic mothers groups. So I'm not going to tell her whole story because I want her to tell you about that. But she blogs at Gutsy Catholic Mom, which appeals to international readers. She wrote a book called Motherhood Matters. She's got children's book called, two of them, I think, Monica Loves Dresses and I Love You More Than Pizza Pie, and has all sorts of things that she does. So I really wanted to have her on the show. And then lo and behold, last night she got sick. So so right now she's kind of on some medication. So I want to apologize in advance for her because I don't think she'll need to be apologized for. But it's kind of one of those things where as soon as you schedule something, something happens. So anyway, I'm just so happy and excited to have my dear friend Dorothy on the show. So Dorothy, even though you're sick, you still made with this commitment. So I appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for agreeing to be on the show, even though you're nursing an illness.
Hey, Colleen, I'm honored to be here, and just hearing your voice is making me all better. It's healing me. It's
There you go.
Thank you so much. And Colleen, yeah, I'd really like to take this opportunity to encourage women to start taking a look at trying to discover what their mission in life is, and to, I guess, start using their skill set in order to see that mission come alive, because I'm totally blown away by what Our Lady is doing and has done in my life. And that when we begin to sort of follow the promptings of the Holy Spirit, um, our lives change dramatically. You know that I've got a sort of solid track business background. For 10 years, I was an instructor at the Schulich Executive Education Center, which is a prestigious university here in Toronto. And I had the opportunity to speak internationally, delivering corporate seminars. Some of you Americans might remember the good old, Fred Pryor seminars. I used to deliver seminars for Fred Pryor on topics for women, how to be an extraordinary administrative assistant, how to be a supervisor, how to deliver excellent customer service, probably 25 topics in total. And it was quite an experience. I loved traveling internationally, delivering seminars. But then I had a baby, and things change when you have a baby, right, Colleen?
Absolutely. What did you do after the first baby was born? Did you stay at work? Did you come home? What did you do about that?
Well, there's a little interesting story about what happened at I always call it my Honolulu Zoo story, because it was a bit of a life changer for me. I was single at the time. I was delivering a seminar in Hawaii on the island of Oahu, a communication skills seminar. And, I was suffering from the disease called the big shot itis, right? I felt so, I guess I was just really happy that I was delivering a seminar in Hawaii, and I was there twice that month. And, someone else was paying for it. And there was a bit of a sense of feeling a little bit puffed up. And, and I was going to daily mass, so you can still be struggling with your pride and being a daily communicant. So anyway, so there I was at the Honolulu Zoo, and again, I was there alone on business, and I saw a woman in front of me who had, I don't know, 4 or 5 kids, one on her shoulder, one in the stroller, and one running around. And I introduced myself to her, and I'm like, oh, do you run your own little home daycare? Well, the woman almost whacked me over the head with her look. And she goes, "No, these are my children." And she says to me, "So, what are you doing? What do you do?" And I said, "Well, I'm an international seminar leader." And anyway, she said she felt sorry for me because I was pouring my heart out to people that I was never going to meet again. And if I had any real courage and real character and real fortitude, that I would get married to the man I was dating. I would start having children and invest my time and energy into souls that would live for eternity and not just, and not that, seminar participants don't. Um, and it was a life-changing moment for me. And so I did run back home and, marry John. And so when I did have that first child, I knew that my life had to change. I couldn't keep on doing what I was doing professionally at that pace anyway. So yeah, so that's my little Hawaii story.
That's amazing. You know what? I've known you for how many years and I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
How did we miss
And
not talking about that one? Yeah, because I've always said when I left my job at the Weather Channel because of having children, it was truly because the hand that rocks the cradle really does rule the world. You know, but there I was after being in the corporate world for so long and working in television, and then sitting at home, and I was all by myself, and all my friendships changed. So, did you run across that as well?
well, it was no, absolutely. I ran into it because I suddenly wasn't as, I guess, maybe glamorous and appealing to certain friends because, when you're traveling internationally from, across the US, and then I've delivered seminars, Australia, New Zealand, there's a perception people have of you. And now, boom, you're at home with a baby. And I couldn't just, like, I always say, I am not against working moms because I have worked a lot in my life. But I do think that a lot of women, when they have that first child, that it really is a time to pray, to reassess, to reevaluate, and just to ask the Holy Spirit and to pray about, what is supposed to be my next step? Like in my own heart, I just couldn't justify jumping on an airplane and flying to Calgary to teach how to be a successful woman in business seminar while I was hiring someone else to train my daughter how to be a successful baby,
Right.
Um, there was it's just, because we got to train those little ones right from the start, right? So, and so again, it was a very personal and decision, and I'm not against working moms. Some people have accused me of being against them. I'm not. I, in fact, continued to work, but I didn't take speaking engagements that I would have to be away for, several days. If I could drive there and if I could bring the baby and I could nurse and I could bring someone with me, that I would still do the work. And I took on different writing assignments. But I think too many women, after they have the baby, their first child, it's almost as if our culture expects them to be the same person, live the same way, give the same amount of output. Whereas having a baby, it changes you. It creates a tremendous amount of work. There are dozens of changes in your life at that time. So it really does require, I think, some spiritual direction and some prayer. And, my heart goes out to women these days because they're overworked, they're stressed, they're working all day, then they're working all night. And then before you know it, the kids are all grown up and they're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to have a heart attack. And some of them do, right? Like we
Right.
expect too much of our women these days.
Yeah, it's like that old commercial. I'm going to date myself. I think it was in the 70s or 80s. It was like I can fry up the bacon and bring it home in a pan. I mean, it was just like, why do we have to do everything? And there becomes that expectation. So, uh, now, I do want to talk about the Catholic women's groups that you're doing and CatholicMomsGroup.com, as well as Dynamic Women of Faith and the upcoming conference and all that kind of stuff. So,
Okay,
um,
well, I guess when I'm Polish, I was born in Poland, and so the way that I was raised was in a bit of a Polish bubble in Toronto, Canada. My parents didn't sort of integrate into the Canadian culture. Our entire life revolved around the church. Even Friday nights, I was going to watch the altar servers play hockey in the church hall. That was, what I did. And it was a beautiful life, and I look upon that time extremely, extremely fondly. I love St. Stanislaus Church. Um, but when I got married, I didn't marry a Polish gentleman. I married, of course, a man that I met at St. Michael's Cathedral, a fellow lector, and he was Canadian. And I began to wonder, how am I going to successfully pass down the Catholic faith living in a culture that is so hostile to Catholicism? And how am I going to pass down the Catholic faith in a culture that doesn't support anything I'm trying to teach at home? And so I started to seek out Catholic moms groups, and there are a variety of movements in the church that do have moms groups, and but some of them I went to, you weren't allowed to talk at them. That kind of defeated the purpose for me, because I have the type of personality where I just need to talk about things in order to grow in my faith and process them and ask questions. And then other mothers groups were, really secular. And anyway, long story short, I decided to start my own moms group around my own kitchen table. And I started to invite moms that I had met that had successfully passed down the faith to teach my circle of friends, some of their secrets. And sometimes we'd have priests over, sometimes we'd watch DVDs. And I always say that, a Catholic moms group is probably one of the best kept secrets in the world, because the women that you meet there are cut of an entirely different cloth than the women that you meet in the corporate world. I'm just wondering, Colleen, did you ever go to a Catholic moms group or belong to any kind of um,
I I did. There was actually when I lived in Atlanta, there was actually no Catholic moms groups. So I went to a Protestant group and was very warmly received, and it was lovely. But it's just something different. It wasn't until I moved to Dallas that I actually went to a Catholic moms group, and nothing against the other groups. It was just something different. We had a little bit more of that commonality, and I got a lot more out of it once I got into a Catholic group. But by that point, all my children were grown. So
well,
I never had that when my children were young.
no, and so different people have had different experiences. So, uh, in right now I've been hosting. I can't believe this as I'm saying it. It's going to show you my age, because I've been hosting my mom's group for 20 years, and in our 12th year, I got all fired up because I've kind of got that personality that goes, oh, let's celebrate. I love celebrating. And I said, we have been meeting for 12 years. This is like totally awesome. We need to do something to mark the 12 years, because there were 12 apostles, and 12 is an important number. And why don't we host an event at, the Sheraton Hotel, and each of us invite our friends, maybe that wouldn't come to a monthly or a weekly mothers group, but they would come to the Sheraton Hotel to hear a couple of speakers. And so we invited all of the best speakers that had ever come to the moms group over the 12 years. And we launched an event, and it was called Dynamic Women of Faith. And 100 women showed up that first year, and my eyes almost popped out of my head, because I thought, okay, if we get 40, 50, out of my mom's group that had 10 women, I thought if each brings a friend or two, we'll have 40 women. Well, the numbers doubled, and anyway, before you know it, people were saying, "Are you going to do this next year? Are you going to do this next year? Are you going to do this next year?" And so now, Dynamic Women of Faith, the conference at www.dynamicwomenfaith.com, is in our 8th year. And our conference this year is on March the 25th, 2017, in the John Paul Polish Cultural Center. And we have a great lineup of speakers. One of them I'm really fired up about. I don't know if any of our listeners know about a woman by the name of Betsy Andre. her husband was a professional cyclist, Tour de France cyclist. And I'll let you Google Betsy. I don't want to take a lot of time about each of our speakers, but if you Google Betsy Andre, Betsy Andre, Andreu, you'll learn a little bit about her. The Cardinal is celebrating our opening mass. It's going to be a great day.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And it's on the 25th, so that's really cool. And then you also said too that, and I'll post the link for that for people to be able to in the show notes for people to be able to go to register for that if they're in the Toronto area. And I don't know if you'll have recordings available later, possibly, or do you have recordings of previous conferences available for sale, possibly?
People keep on asking. People always give me good ideas. Hosted mother's group last night. Well, Dorothy, you should do this and you should do that. And I just barked. I'm like, you should do it. So, why don't you have something for men? I'm
Oh
like,
boy.
oh, you want me to host a women's conference, a men's conference, maybe a conference for the pets too? No, sorry. I just,
But you do have a breakout session for the young ladies though, too, don't you?
well, we do. And so what happened in one of the years, I forget exactly what year it was, um, a lot of the moms were saying, oh my gosh, we really need our daughters to be hearing about some of this stuff, but they would never come for a full day. Can you do something for our daughters? Can you do something for our daughters? And I remember the year we had you, Colleen Hammond, author, writer, international speaker, was so exciting. And it just, again, the room was filled to the brim. I was expecting, maybe 30 women or with their daughters. And anyway, we had just invited the daughters, and the moms started sneaking in because they wanted to hear what we were telling the daughters. And so we've started an annual event the night before, and it's called Calling All Girls. And every year around this time, I kind of shake my head. I'm saying, what am I doing? I'm never doing this again. This is too much work, and et cetera, et cetera. Anyone that's in ministry knows how demanding it can be. And but the thing that keeps me going, and I know this is a very, very sensitive topic, and I don't want to make light of it, but in the circle of the moms in my mother's group and our surrounding community, it just seems that in the last 4 or 5 years we've had a young girl commit suicide, like suicides among young women. I don't know whether they're increasing or I'm more aware of them because I'm in ministry and people call me and ask me what to do and what to say. And so every year I say to myself, okay, I've got to do this thing for girls because our girls are just getting crazy, crazy messages.
Mhm.
And those messages are just driving them to despair. So we do have an event, Calling All Girls, the evening before. It's 7 to 10, so it's on March the 24th, 7 to 10 p.m. And it's at the same venue, the John Paul II Polish Cultural Center on Cothra Road in Mississauga. It is a separate fee, it is separate registration, and moms can come with their daughters, they can come alone, the daughters can come alone. I call it my ADD night because we have 6 speakers from 7 to 10. The idea is to make it really fast paced and really interesting and keep the girls engaged, hoping that one of those speakers touches something in that girl's heart and puts her on a different track or reinforces the track she's on. And so, yeah, so thanks for mentioning Calling All Girls.
That's great. And I'll make sure to put that information is all going to be either on the screen right now, and it'll also be in the show notes. And also, we're going to wrap it up. And I want you to talk about Catholic Moms Group.
Okay,
And
so and so I guess there was a couple of years ago where people started to contact me. Well, how do I start a mother's group? How do I make it last? And I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to start helping other people start moms groups, I need the approval of the Archdiocese of Toronto because I can't just be some wingnut out there, trying to start moms groups. And so I requested a meeting with our cardinal, and so then I had several meetings with several people and several stakeholders and meeting upon meeting upon meeting upon meeting. And so anyway, I was given the permission to run a pilot project and start 12 moms groups. And we've developed all sorts of tools. We've developed posters, brochures. We're using a DVD series, and we're working on, we've created a starter kit, and that starter kit is available to the parishes in the Archdiocese of Toronto right now. And I host a one-day training program, how to start and run a successful mothers group. And what we are looking to make those materials available on our website, CatholicMomsGroup.com, because we've had international requests, and right now I haven't been able to keep up with all of the requests. And so I'm praying, and I ask everybody's prayers. I'm like, Lord, please send me the people to help. But and I'm so grateful to you, Colleen, for asking about CatholicMomsGroup.com. I do invite people to keep visiting our website. So it's CatholicMomsGroup.com. When we finally have the starter kit available for moms and parishes outside of the Archdiocese, I will also be offering sort of consultations and for parish priests and things like that. So it's exciting. And again, I'm going to make a little plug. My website is www.dorothypilarski.com, and I hope you tune in sometime to Radio Maria, the Dynamic Women of Faith show, which we're just revamping right now.
Fantastic. Oh, it was so nice having you on. I wish we had more time. Well, you and I have more time to talk. But I just, I love that one of your favorite sayings is from Mother Angelica: unless you're willing to do the ridiculous, God will not do the miraculous. And I think that's just kind of a definition of a lot of what you've done over the last 20 years is just like, oh, well, I'll just start and allow God to take over from that point on. So, and I love what you started with too, is just really to be able to focus on your mission and the gifts that God has given you. And I just really love and appreciate you so much, Dorothy. And
oh my gosh, I love you too, and I'm really honored that you've invited me to be on your show. Like I feel like I don't know, I feel so important being here because I love you so much, and I want to thank you for just all of the stamina you have to be putting on that show day, because I know in corporate environments, a program like that would be easily $299, and you're giving it out for free. And I hope people really know how much work goes into those programs and how blessed they are to listen to you every single day, day in and day out.
yeah, there is a lot of work. And I'm like
It
you, I'm
is.
like, please, God, send me the helpers, man.
Yeah. Or money, I'll take either, right?
Either one, yeah. Send me the helpers and the money to hire them. That's even better.
Well, exactly. Yeah, no. So anyway, I like to say to people, you keep praying for me, and I'll keep praying for you.
Amen. Amen. All right. So make sure you hit Dorothy's website, which I've got up on the screen for you. You can go to dorothypilarski.com, or we'll also have the Catholic Moms Group website and also the information on how you can register for the conference.